This episode is brought to you by Sherwin-Williams, the trusted name in paint for over 150 years. Whether you're refreshing a single room or giving an entire property a new life, Sherwin-Williams has the colors and finishes to get it done right. Stop by your local store or visit sherwinwilliams.com to find your perfect shade today. Hey everyone, and welcome to the We Buy Ugly Houses podcast. My name is Derek Douglas. Today we're talking market trends over the last handful of years and kind of how real estate investors are navigating that and kind of what we see, what we've seen, what we see now, and kind of where we see it maybe going. Today I'm here with Lee Garland. So Lee, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi Derek. Yeah, thanks for sitting down with me and talking some real estate today.
Absolutely.
I'm Lee Garland. I am a real estate investor since really started in about 2000 and early 2000s. Let's just say I don't want to date myself too much here, but yeah, early 2000s. Started in real estate investing. My background, construction, remodeling. That's how I really got the taste for it. Picked up a couple houses here and there, and thought, hey, this is something that I could do. Obviously, with the remodeling side of it, but it didn't really fully grasp the real estate investing. I just knew how to work on houses and fix houses, and let's get them sold. And did pretty good with that. And then HomeVestors, that's something a little bit later on, and in those early 2000s, started becoming familiar with HomeVestors and bought a couple deals off of a local HomeVestor franchise, and that worked out really good. Definitely getting some deeper buys than what I was used to buying off of the MLS with some realtors, and again saw another little opportunity there with the how deep you can buy properties. Just blew me away.
So how long into investing did you then switch over to kind of be part of the HomeVestors system then?
So yeah, let's say 2014 was when I bought my franchise.
Okay. So
now
been around almost 11 years now?
Right around 11 years, and probably the first actually came to a HomeVestor. What do they call it? The Discovery Day. It's every summer in Dallas. That's where I went. I guess they have them in other locations, but I made the trek down to Dallas probably. So that was 2014. So I would say 3 years. I went to my first Discovery Day a couple years before. It took me. I was, sometimes a slow learner. People or a little stubborn in my ways. So that's one of my biggest. I do sometimes the biggest regrets is once I hit Discovery Day. I was pretty sure I wanted the franchise then, and I just didn't make it happen. But I got there.
It's interesting because you'd been investing for a handful of years, and then you started to go over that way. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, what do I really need HomeVestors for? Even though I was buying from them, but it was a great move.
No, that's great. No, so part of what we're talking about today is obviously we'll take sort of the last 5 years. We'll kind of call 2022 time frame. We'll kind of then focus on then there to date, and then see how we're going forward. So kind of what stood out to you during the 2022 market, or the boom, as some people had referred to it as, and the shift that followed that? Well,
obviously, everybody, the last 5 years, we're going through the COVID times, right? And the everything that went involved with that. So those are definitely challenging times. Something no matter where you're at in industry, or whether your work, family, whatever it was something that we all went through together. And in real estate, lucky for us, we were considered to be essential workers at the time.
Right.
So we were still out there. Believe it or not, and of course I'm in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma area, and worked a lot of overall in the state of Oklahoma. We were still open for business, and of course at the time, we're going back, the COVID time, and we were panicking, wondering if anybody's even the phones were even going to ring, or anybody even were going to sell their house or whatever. So that was going way back to the initial phase of it. Definitely a challenge. I mean, it was scary times for everybody. The phones, but guess what? The phones kept ringing.
Interest rates were low.
Interest rates we're still stayed where they were at. So looking back, it was one of my best years as far as acquiring properties.
Right.
I really went into full-on buy and hold mode at that time too.
Okay, so because of those acquiring more rentals, or is that kind of the strategy then?
It was. I'd always wanted to. I'd already had rentals, and I'd always wanted to keep adding into the rentals.
How many do you have today, you think?
So I'm right around about 100 rental properties total.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So that was a lot of those really were bought probably in the last 5 to 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so how has now the rising interest rates sort of changed? Are you still buying and holding, or kind of what's that done to kind of how you?
More selective.
you
So
approach
yeah,
things?
let's say at one time I had a model where it's, let's say 2 out of every 3 that I would buy would go into the rental portfolio. Now it's probably shifted to 1 out of every 4 goes into the rental portfolio. So it's definitely changed. It's made it more difficult.
Okay.
Those rates go up, holding costs go up. Repairs have gone. I mean, everything has gone up. So we're in a challenging situation right now with the rates. I mean, they're stabilizing, and we're making those adjustments as needed. It's
Well, so then going through, so obviously being in real estate investing prior to 2008, 2009, right? So I think you didn't want to date yourself, but I think
yeah.
that's
No,
right.
I was in it on there.
All right.
Yeah.
So you've been through that, and then you've kind of then been in the space now for
20 years. Yeah, 20
years.
I'd say 20 years. Yeah.
So what's sort of the last 5 years, if we were to section it out into a couple pieces there, what's been sort of your take on where we were in that kind of 2020 time to where in the last, let's call it the last couple years comparatively,
Yeah.
and kind of the struggles there,
Yeah.
if existing.
It really, it is. I mean, I would say the struggles. I guess when you've gone again 20 years, you've kind of seen how things can change. The struggles right now would be, I really just think of making adjustments. And it's not really a struggle. I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't use the word struggle for me. It's more just making the necessary adjustments and changing strategies, like you said. Holding at one time. Now we're doing a lot more flips. And we're trying to really maximize a lot of our leads in different ways as well.
Sure.
That in the past I wasn't probably really focusing on that.
What's been the difference in? Has there been any sort of different mentality in sellers between the two?
Sellers have, I think sellers have gotten more educated, which is good, and they've definitely they're more up on what their house is worth and what the neighbors are. There's a lot more to that than, and they also their situation isn't as easy for them as well. So there's a lot more sellers that they contact you, in October, and then they don't want to sell until next May or June, things like that too. I've been seeing a lot of that.
Okay.
So a lot more follow up, a lot more just keeping in touch with our sellers, and just had again just the last week, it was somebody that contacted. It was in October, and
Okay.
they said they wanted to sell in May. We went and looked at the property in October of last. Yeah. So
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
it's just taking people a little bit more time to make their next move to find what's going to work for them.
Okay, no, that's interesting. So if someone was, let's say, getting in, they're hearing this message and they're kind of hearing the conditions of the current market, and knowing that it might be a little bit more challenging as it maybe was prior. We've had a good almost decade in the real estate space, and so the market sort of adjusted a little bit. What would you say is sort of a good tip or something to kind of be focused on if you're coming into and starting in this space at this time?
If you're coming in now, I think now's a great time. I think you're right. 2 years ago would have been a little tougher. I think we are going to start slowly getting out of where we were the last couple of years. I think sellers are starting to realize, hey, where we're at now is not as bad as as what we thought it was. They're going to start selling quicker. I think buyers are starting to get back in. We're listing houses and starting. The price point is obviously key too. Know your price point. Again, I'm going to not use the Oklahoma numbers because they're going to be relatively low compared to everywhere else.
Sure.
But everybody has that median price point. And so I think as long as you stay around in those areas, again, know your market. Definitely we look at our market all the time, days on market, inventory, know kind of the values. We adjusted that too, as far as the, a couple years ago, or let's say, that 5-year span back in there.
Yeah.
You knew if you bought, at the time you bought, you could pretty much, and you knew that it was going to, you knew in a few months later, it's going to be worth more than what you paid for it.
Sure.
We're not there anymore. Things are pretty leveled out for most cases.
Your rehabs have probably changed to be a little bit more over that time, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Can't just throw a coat of paint
No,
on there and
we're
then sell it,
going back into really, rehabbing a lot more than what we did. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Staging again. We're doing staging again. professional photography.
You'll do that on every house that you're
absolutely everyone, no matter what it is. We're doing pretty much all.
I'm not a visionary, so unless I see it, I can't picture it.
Yeah.
So the staging thing. I mean, if there's any buyers out there that are like me, then I have to see it.
Yeah.
I got to know how I'm going to live in this space or use this space. So makes total sense. So okay, so you said you kind of had a bullish outlook, kind of coming into it now. So we've noticed it's not as quote unquote bad or as difficult, as maybe the last year and a half, 2 years. So where do you kind of see it going now?
I'm still bullish. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to just continue to. I think prices are going to start creeping back up again on real estate. I think you're going to be. I think rates are. I mean, check with your financial advisor, but I believe rates are going to.
And we're not economists here.
That's
we're
right. Yeah,
guys that are in the space, and this is where we see things going. But
I mean, for example, I talked to my banker the other day. I was about to do I do have a couple rentals I'm wanting to lock in for some long term, and my lender said, let's just wait a couple months. I think we're going to be in a better spot. So I'll trust him. He's find you a good lender, good banker that you can trust. And so that made me feel good.
No, that's good. So, all right. As you're going through, you've been in the HomeVestors system for about 11 years, real estate for 20 years, mostly only in Oklahoma City or
the state of Oklahoma.
The state of Oklahoma. Okay.
I'll go outside of Oklahoma City.
All right.
Tulsa, Lawton. I wouldn't recommend that to too many people, but there's tough areas. But yeah, you can find deals all over the place.
Now, are you doing with the current market? Are you doing any wholesaling or anything like that, or is it just either hold for rental or flipping it?
So we have a process, and again, this is something we kind of just put in play probably in the last year or two as well. We will wholesale. To me, is actually I still take title, so I'm not a true wholesale it to somebody else that I get the contract and then I'm going to wholesale or assign. The people use obviously everybody knows what assignment is where you just assign the contract over someone. That's never been one of my true exit strategies. I have from time to time. I've always felt like it's more profitable for me to take title, even if I am going to quote unquote assign it. I'll go ahead and close on it, and then find a buyer.
The general practice that we try to preach around that.
Yeah.
Go ahead and close on it.
So our process right now is we will take title, we'll close on it, and let's say we're running 6 to 8 flips at a time right now, in various stages, either start, middle, end. So there's about even right now we're probably running about 10, but which is a little bit more than what we like to. But 6 to 8, we'll close on it. We'll take title. Then we will give about a 3 to 5 week period if we can find a wholesale buy to wholesale it over. Now we have title, so we will market it out as an as is as a wholesale type of situation. And if we have a price on it that we feel comfortable that it's going to be a good deal for the buyer, and we still feel like it's good for us as well, that's our process. So we'll close on it, take title, have this because that 3 to 5 weeks is really our contractors can't get to. I mean, we're going to move them from property that we're finishing, then they're going to get over there by the time we've run the scope of work, things like that. And we've been doing a few of those. So
okay.
We'll get those sold, and if the number works good for everybody, we move on to another deal. If not, then the contractors come in and we start the process of the of the full-on rehab for the flip. So
in the market, as you're going through some of these things, say it's a rehab, say it's you're just kind of making sure that you're keeping track of the value. So what we call the ARV or the after repair value. How often or where are you going to adjust that with the current market, and what are you doing in terms of sort of adjusting your exit as time passes? Because some rehabs take several months depending on what's going on.
That's right. So yeah, that's a good question, because there is another adjustment that we've made is short. Even when we're first evaluating that property before we bought it. Again, so many times I was so accustomed to using a 12-month period to run an ARV or run my comps, look back, 12 months, 9 to 12 months even, and say, hey, I think we can project it will sell for this. And that we've shortened our gap to more like a 3 to 6 months. I mean, sometimes you have to push it out, but we're trying to really find out what's just sold in the last 3 to 6 months versus what sold 12 months ago to use. And so that's been
Yeah, you buy a house.
Yeah.
You buy a house that goes like 12 months, and then it could
Yeah.
change drastically in that 3 months, which we've seen in this current market.
Yeah,
so
because we're in May right now. So right now I'd like to see what has sold really just since February. I'm not even going to go back into 2024. I will, if I have to, but I prefer not to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So over the next 12 months, again we'll look into our real estate crystal ball here. Do you see a certain trend in real estate that might be more popular than not over the next 12 months, or maybe something I don't know, say more motivating for the sellers or something like that?
I think in the business of what we do, everything tried and true. You've got the same principles that motivate people to sell, and that's going to be, all the D words, right? The death, the divorce, the disease, the debt. So the debt could be one that you might see that the numbers are starting to show that more and more people their debt is stacking up on them, unfortunately. So I believe we're going to see more people that are forced to sell because of the debt. And maybe that's even, property taxes have gone up, insurance has gone up.
I know mine has.
So even if you're set on your mortgage and you've got a good rate, your insurance, your payments is continuing to go up, and we're seeing that. We are seeing more of that.
I feel like because I got a low interest rate on my mortgage, somehow the insurance is coming up to kind of short.
We were just talking about that, weren't we? Yeah, insurance and property taxes, right? So that's squeezing people out.
No, that's unfortunate, but that's one of the things with what we then try to be as HomeVestors as a solution to people. It's not we always try to create, we have our mission, vision, and our core values where we try to, be a positive solution for somebody who's in a need.
Absolutely.
So, it's
to help people. That's the first line of our mission statement. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have a favorite, say, HomeVestors buy or a more marketable story that might be interesting for anyone listening or watching?
Yeah. I have I've got an interesting story that this isn't even this. You would think, one of my best buys, but this happened just let's say a few months ago, maybe even let's say 4 to 5 months ago. Had a lady call us, a recently divorced lady, living in a house that she got taken advantage of by her contractor. She had hired a contractor. She was saying, again, she's on her own. Didn't have any good advisors, hires, some contractor, and we all know this. We all know these stories, and these stories make TV all the time.
Yeah.
Contractor comes in, takes $40,000 or $50,000 to renovate this, this 1,500 square foot house. She's out all of her money. They started not even half the work. They probably did 10% of the work, and she calls in, and basically. The main problem is she had no water and no sewer. They didn't connect anything, and she's living in this house. So obviously she didn't owe a whole lot on the house, and her payment was cheaper than anything she's going to go find. We went over there, met with her. I sat down with her for quite a while, and she was just in tears. And I'm trying to make a long story short, but
no, please.
Yeah, we ended up deciding, you know what? I couldn't even leave the house that day. Really, we in a good conscience that there's this lady with no water and no sewage, right? So in living in this house and nobody there to help her. I called, our go-to contractor, our plumber, and I met him over there later in that afternoon. We and then we brought over, all of our, reconnected all of her water. She had water service, but nothing was connected. We dug up her sewer line, replaced her sewer line. At this point, I'm thinking, if I end up with the house, if I don't, but I just couldn't leave somebody living in that house. And so we actually did a couple $1,000s worth of work on her house. That's awesome. She couldn't pay us for it, which was, I knew that going in when we did it. And my plumber is the same way. He's like, yeah, we can't leave somebody, living in a house like this. And so that's something that we did just do recently, and she still calls us to this day. We're not, no intention to buy the house, but she's wants to repay us. She talks to her and my wife have actually met up, and she made some cookies or something like that and gave it.
That's nice.
So So that was something that, you were able to help somebody in your community. It was actually in a neighborhood that I used to live in as a kid. So I was drawn,
cool.
I was drawn to that area as well. And
Kind of a full circle thing. I love
yeah,
that.
so it was, So
No,
that's something
that
we've
goes to our overall mission statement, and we'll put it up on the screen for anyone who's watching, and that's to help others through innovative processes and real estate solutions that positively impact neighborhoods one home at a time. And then our vision statement is improving lives through exceptional experiences.
Absolutely.
And that's all leads into our core values, which is service, innovation, and trust. And we realize that it's, we're in the real estate space. The name of the game is buying and selling and flipping and holding and all the other pieces. But one of the things that we preach and that we teach constantly is it's never about the house. These are people that are living in homes that we're trying to provide a solution for, who are sometimes in a really bad situation.
100%. That's right.
So we're trying to be an answer to somebody. So, any closing thoughts on kind of we've kind of talked about it already, what you're most excited about going forward, and maybe one more little nugget for anyone who's just thinking about getting into the business.
Again, I know I'm a HomeVestor guy now, but I wasn't always, and I was skeptical about, getting into a big company, a big brand. But the people that I've got, that I've met over these last 10 or 11 years are some of the best people that I've, I can't say enough about the type of people that I know and I consider to be true friends, and that's what it's good to be able to do business and have people that you can count on with as other business owners and have those conversations, but also enjoy the people that you're with.
This can be a lonely business.
Absolutely.
So, that's great. Well, Lee, I think we're going to wrap it up from there, but I appreciate you coming through, and we'll have you back on. We'll talk about some more stuff here soon.
I enjoyed it, Derek. Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right. This episode is brought to you by Sherwin-Williams, the trusted name in paint for over 150 years. Whether you're refreshing a single room or giving an entire property a new life, Sherwin-Williams has the colors and finishes to get it done right. Stop by your local store or visit sherwinwilliams.com to find your perfect shade today. So another thanks to Lee Garland, who came through today. We talked about past market trends, our current ones, and the ones going forward. One of the things that we pointed out is that there's going to be a lot more need for investors as sellers' need increases over time, and how we need to be treating people with respect, and how we're bullish for the upcoming market. So special thanks to Lee once more for coming through, and we look forward to talking to him again.
Thanks for tuning in to the We Buy Ugly Houses podcast. If you enjoyed the show, hit subscribe and share it with someone ready to change their future. Want to own your own HomeVestors franchise? Visit WeBuyUglyHouses.com today and take the first step toward building your real estate business. Don't wait. Opportunity is knocking.